for you, Datuk?
I think should be okay. Cuma jangan bagi di recording tu.
Saya faham maksud Datuk.
Kadang-kadang dia orang sometimes lah dia pecah-pecahkan. Jadi
Alright, faham.
ayat kita tak habis dah ambil.
Baiklah, saya mulai ya.
Because pernah berlaku dulu lah.
Alright, okay. Selamat pagi dan salam sejahtera saya ucapkan kepada semua yang bersama kita pada pagi ini di Zoom dan juga secara live streaming di YouTube APM. Izinkan saya untuk memperkenalkan diri saya dulu. Saya Beatrice N, pegawai penyelidik sosial di APM selaku pengacara majlis kita pada pagi ini. Baiklah, untuk menghematkan masa kita, saya ingin menjemput Profesor Dr. Rosli Muhammad Yusof, pengurusi kluster ekonomi dan kesejahteraan sosial APM untuk memberikan ucapan alu-aluan. Silakan Prof.
Baik, terima kasih pengurusi majlis Miss N, Beatrice. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Yang berbahagia Profesor Emeritus Datuk Dr. Muhammad Al-Junaid, yang berusaha Profesor Dr. Adlina Sulaiman, yang berusaha Profesor Dr. Lim Hock Yam, ahli-ahli majlis, rakan-rakan profesor, ahli-ahli akademik sekalian, tuan-tuan dan puan-puan dan para hadirin sekalian. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Selamat sejahtera dan selamat pagi. Bersyukur kita kehadrat Ilahi kerana diberikan peluang untuk kita bertemu sekali lagi walaupun secara virtual untuk bersama dalam program pagi ini. Bagi pihak APM, kluster ekonomi dan kesejahteraan sosial, kami sangat-sangat mengalu-alukan kedatangan tuan-tuan dan puan-puan untuk program ini. Program wacana anjuran kluster EKS, ekonomi dan kesejahteraan sosial adalah antara inisiatif yang dijayakan untuk kita berikan satu platform di mana ahli-ahli akademik, para pakar-pakar dan juga para hadirin sekalian dapat berkongsi ilmu, bertukar pendapat, lebih-lebih lagi mengenai isu-isu semasa yang dekat di hati kita semua. Sekarang ni keadaan lebih mencabar berbanding dengan keadaan pre-pandemik dahulu ya. Jadi wacana kesejahteraan komuniti melalui kesejahteraan hidup sejahteraka anda ini kami andaikan adalah satu topik ataupun satu tema yang mungkin akan dekat di hati kita semua. Jadi kami di kluster EKS berharap dengan mengadakan platform ini kita sama-sama rakyat Malaysia dapat memahami isu kesejahteraan hidup ni dengan lebih mendalam lagi. Tips kesihatan yang akan disampaikan oleh panelis kita Prof. Adlina, we all look forward to that ya, untuk meningkatkan kesejahteraan hidup kita bersama. Kalau boleh juga kita boleh memberikan secara input keseluruhan ya, untuk menyediakan resolusi yang dapat kita kongsikan bersama dengan pemegang-pemegang taruh atau sekurang-kurangnya kita boleh bring to the attention ataupun kita bawa kepada perhatian pemegang-pemegang taruh. Atas dasar ini juga kami di APM selain daripada inisiatif wacana, kami juga sekarang ni sedang berusaha untuk menganjurkan convention APM pada 6 hingga 7 Oktober di mana kita akan jemput semua ahli-ahli kluster dan ahli-ahli akademik untuk bersama-sama dengan kami untuk mendengar pembentangan dari ahli akademik ke arah penyediaan kertas dasar. InsyaAllah poster ini kami akan kongsi bersama di masa yang terdekat nanti ya. So baiklah, sebelum saya serahkan majlis ini kepada N, MC kita, saya harap kita akan sama-sama dapat memanfaatkan session ni dan insyaAllah kita akan lebih memahami isu dan insyaAllah we will all enjoy the session. Okay, over to you back Miss N.
Alright, okay. Sebelum saya menyerahkan program wacana pada pagi ini kepada moderator Profesor Dr. Noor Aisyah Buang yang juga merupakan pengurusi bersama kluster ekonomi dan kesejahteraan sosial, sedikit peringatan mesra kepada semua. Mohon mikrofon diletakkan dalam mod senyap untuk mengelakkan sebarang gangguan sepanjang sesi ini berlangsung. Dan soalan boleh diajukan di ruangan chat. Dan sekarang ni saya dengan segala hormatnya menjemput Profesor Dr. Noor Aisyah Buang untuk meneruskan sesi kita pada pagi ini. Dipersilakan Prof. Prof. Noor Aisyah, over to you.
Okay, terima kasih.
Oops. Muted, Prof.
Ya, okay. Alright. Ya. Okey, Assalamualaikum dan selamat pagi kepada tuan-tuan dan puan-puan. Terima kasih kepada NMC Majlis Wacana pagi ini. So pagi ini kita sangat bersyukur kita dapat 3 panelis yang hebat. Bila saya baca dia punya CV, memang dahsyat lah. Saya pun tengok seram. Jadi panelis kita yang pertama ialah Profesor Datuk Dr. Syed Muhammad Al-Junaid, a consultant in public health medicine, specializing on health economic. Very interesting, health economics. Saya belajar ekonomik je. Policy and management. First Malaysian to obtain PhD in health economics dan AMP, financing from London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine in 1995. So we are very, very lucky today. We are very well experienced person who want to share his experience with us, knowledge, okay? And he has served for more than 30 years at the Faculty of Medicine, UKM, which is my university currently, and was seconded to United Nations University, International Institute for Global Health for 8 years, 8 tahun, and to Faculty of Public Health at Kuwait University for 7 years. So, memang dahsyat lah. So, currently he is appointed as a Professor of Community Medicine, School of Medicine, International Medical University, iaitu IMU, he was the founding president of MCTC and past president of Malaysian Public Health Specialists Association. In 2007, he led a team of researchers to conduct the first study on the healthcare costs of smoking in Malaysia, which is so important, very critical. Malaysia, funded by SEJAHTERAKAH, CASEATCA. And seterusnya kita ada panelis kita yang sama hebatnya, and we are very lucky. Thank you to Prof. Dr. Haja Adlina Sulaiman, Prof. Well, thank you very much. Adalah seorang pakar kesihatan awam. CV in Malay, saya baca in Malay. Pencara perubatan Universiti Perubatan Antarabangsa. Beliau adalah Fellow Academic Professor Malaysia dan Akademi Perubatan Malaysia. Beliau merupakan kaki tangan akademik perintis dalam penubuhan 3 sekolah perubatan. So ini really consultant, advisor, knowledge people, UiTM, MASA dan UPNM. Beliau punya pengalaman 30 tahun mengajar perubatan community, community medicine, menjalankan penyelidikan berasaskan community, menyelia pelajar lepasan ijazah dan menerbitkan 29 artikel penyelidikan terindeks Scopus dalam jurnal tempatan dan antarabangsa mengenai penyusuan ibu, which is so important, kemurungan, current issues dalam kalangan kanak-kanak sekolah, tekanan dalam kumpulan pelbagai, community, obesity, dalam kalangan pelajar, kesan sinaran medan elektromagnet ke atas kesihatan, pengurusan penjagaan kesihatan, kesediaan menghadapi bencana dan pengurusan jangkitan SARS-CoV. Pengurusan bencana ni sangat menarik, emergency management. Memang menarik, it always happen. Saya tak tahu lah, di Malaysia kita ada gempa bumi, so tak pandai, tak lama lagi ada kot. So sejak permulaan wabak COVID-19, beliau telah menulis beberapa kenyataan untuk APM dalam media tempatan dan muncul di TV memberi ceramah. Media merujuk pada aspek kesihatan awam penyakit ini. So kini beliau menerima banyak jemputan memberi ceramah berkenaan pencegahan penyakit dan penjagaan itu. Welcome Prof. Adina, we are so happy to have you today in our wacana. We look forward, And then kita tak kurang hebatnya, kita ada Prof. Lim Hock En, betul? Hock Yam ke apa? Okay. Ni cakap orang putih baliklah sebab CV orang putih. Okay, is a professor from the School of Economics, Finance and Banking, UUM. He has obtained his master degree from University College London and doctoral degree from Monash University. His research interests are in applied microeconomics, the econometrics, economics of happiness, and labor economics. Saya tak pernah dengar economics of happiness, and I really look forward. Kita semua kena tahu apa itu economics of happiness. He teaches courses in econometrics, sampling methods, research methodology, and forecasting, both at undergraduate and graduate levels. He has published various journals, either local or international. We look forward to listen to hear to Dr. Prof. Lim. Okay, now we at 10:11, so each panelist kita ada 20-25 minutes, and I believe that immediately we can open to the public to ask question, 5 minutes, and then followed by the second panelist, and then we open again to the public, to the audience, to ask 1 or 2 questions, followed by Prof. Lim. And then before we closing, we can still open to the public. So hopefully towards the end we have like 10 minutes for the audience to ask question again. Alright, further ado, saya menjemput Prof. Datuk Dr. Syed Muhammad Al-Junaid untuk memberikan ceramah wacana beliau yang pertama. Silakan Prof. Prof, mute itu.
Terima kasih Prof. Nur Aisyah atas introduction tadi, dan juga rakan-rakan sekalian daripada Akademi Profesor Malaysia. Dan terima kasih kerana menjemput saya untuk berkongsi pendapat dan juga maklumat berkaitan dengan persoalan yang ditanyakan dalam topik ini. Adakah kita sejahtera? How is the status of our health well-being? Jadi saya akan fokuskan pembentangan saya kepada beberapa perkara berkaitan dengan kesihatan, terutama sekali menyentuh interaksi di antara masyarakat dengan sistem kesihatan. Kerana saya banyak membuat kajian berkaitan dengan sistem kesihatan, terutama sekali aspek-aspek ekonomi kesihatan. Izinkan saya untuk share skrin saya untuk membentangkan beberapa slides bagi membantu saya memberikan penerangan dengan lebih jelas dalam perkara ini. Jadi pertanyaan atau persoalan yang dikemukakan, kesejahteraan komuniti melalui kesejahteraan hidup, sejahterahkah anda? Ini susah nak jawab ni, actually. So a few days ago, I tried to think about what are the areas that I can actually share through my research and also through my consultancy work in terms of the health system. Jadi these are the things that I would like to discuss. We will talk about the definition of health. Lepas tu kita akan pergi ke social determinant of health. And then I will talk about universal health coverage and poverty, which is very important aspect dari segi kesejahteraan lah. Dan juga I will touch a bit on burden of chronic non-communicable diseases dan perkara yang terkini dalam sistem kesihatan kita berkaitan dengan reformasi daripada Malaysian health system melalui health white paper yang sekarang ni sudah berada dalam peringkat mendapatkan input daripada stakeholders, dan kita ada roadshow yang dilakukan oleh menteri dan sebagainya. Based on WHO, World Health Organization, which was established in 1948 after World War II, WHO punya definisi of health ni stated that health, kalau kita kata health ni adalah a state of physical, mental and social well-being, and not merely absence of diseases ataupun infirmity. Jadi di sini ada 3 aspek: physical, social and mental well-being. Dari segi physical, I think it's quite easy for us to understand. When somebody have hypertension, blood pressure dia tinggi, maka kita dapat lihat itu. Kalau orang tu datang dengan very high blood glucose, and then ada tanda-tanda lain, misalnya ada ulcer di kaki dan sebagainya, mungkin diabetes. Mental health is a bit more challenging because it's quite abstract. And then the other aspect which is very important, which is probably quite debatable now, is regarding the social well-being. Do we achieve all these 3 or not? Kalau kita dapat 3 ni, barulah dalam definisi WHO tercangkup semuanya. So basically from this definition, we know that health is a multifaceted phenomena. It is very elusive, especially when we talk about mental and social well-being, and it is not it's not easy to define the concept of health well-being. Although doctors, nurses, and other healthcare professionals are more concerned about physical health and to a certain extent mental health sekarang ni. WHO in the early 2000 and middle 2000 came up with the idea of social determinants of health. Dalam konsep social determinants of health ini, what we can see is that health is actually health system and healthcare services contributes only a small portion of the overall health well-being. In fact, there were studies to show that only 25% of the overall health well-being is contributed by the healthcare and also health services. Other things like food, of course, agriculture and food production, education, living condition, work environment, and of course water and sanitation. All this actually contributes to health. Sampai hari ini pun kita masih lagi menghadapi masalah dari segi bekalan air dan juga sanitation. Ada negeri di Malaysia masih lagi mendapat teh tarik dalam bekalan airnya. So is that healthy or not in the first place? So inilah perkara yang kita bincangkan apabila kita bercakap tentang social determinants of health. Dalam health system, any health system in the world, when it is established, they want to actually achieve these four main objectives. First, in terms of accessibility, which means that if you have the health services and health facility, we want people to be accessible to that. Number two, when we provide the services, we want to provide it the highest possible quality. And then we want to make sure that the services are delivered at a high level of efficiency, which means that from economic perspective, kita tak nak berlakunya wastages, inefficient services. But that's what happened in most of the health system, even in our health system. And the third important aspect is equity. This is very difficult to achieve in most countries. When we talk about equity, it refers to the fairness in providing the services and also in assessing the services, which means that access to the services must not be determined by the ability to pay of certain sectors of the population. We don't want that people who are not cannot afford to pay, although they have a high healthcare needs, they are not able to access the services. So equity is a very important aspect and is one of the most difficult part of the health system to achieve. In health system, we have 6 building blocks. So it includes things like, for example, service delivery, health workforce, and currently Malaysia is having a lot of issues with health workforce. We have so many doctors that cannot be absorbed into the health system. Although they cut services in the hospital, if you go there, people are flooding the health services, and the hospitals waiting lists are getting longer and longer, and we are not able to do that. We need information. Of course, we need technologies like vaccine, for example, other drugs, and also other technologies. And two more important aspects which is important in the health system is number one, of course, money, the financing part. Kalau tak ada duit, we cannot even talk about how to provide the services. So betul lah orang katakan no money, no talk. So this is part and parcel of the whole system. And of course, we must have a leadership and governance. Strong leadership and governance is very important. And I think the current government through Malaysia Madani, we are concerned about trying to get a sistem takbir urus yang telus dan juga menangani masalah rasuah atau corruption. Corruption in healthcare in many countries is a major problem, including Malaysia actually. Cuma kita tak dapat data-data yang jelas, data-data yang clear yang boleh membantu karena ini perkara yang very sensitive. All this finally, if we have all this building block, we want to achieve all the objective. And we hope that at the end of the day, we'll have people in the community, in the country who have improved health. The system are very responsive to our healthcare needs, and we provide them with social and financial protection, which means that we do not want people to fall below the poverty line when they fall sick. This is the major issues. And we want to make sure that the services are provided at the highest level of efficiency. These are the 5 important challenges that healthcare system analysts and also healthcare system policymakers identified when we look at the current situation. Number one, we know that healthcare cost is increasing. Kita lihatlah apabila negara kita menghadapi masalah COVID-19, cost of treating a COVID-19 patient is very expensive. And especially kalau yang patient sakit tadi mengalami masalah berkaitan dengan kemasukan ke hospital yang memerlukan ventilator dan sebagainya. There's an increasing prevalence of chronic non-communicable diseases, especially penyakit-penyakit yang berkaitan dengan behavioral seperti smoking, which leads to lung cancer. So cancers is increasing, chronic obstructive pulmonary diseases, heart diseases, and of course, diseases which relates to other unhealthy behavior. Kita ada diabetes, hypertension, darah tinggi ya, kemudian cancers dan juga penyakit-penyakit chronic respiratory. We have a population which are getting aged from time to time. Once we achieve a level of aged society, a lot of costs need to be devoted. That's why in some countries like Japan, for example, even our neighbor Singapore, they have a special financial package that are provided for to take care of the healthcare needs of the aged population. At the same time, our population are very demanding. They get a lot of information through the internet. Some of the information, of course, are rubbish, but they come and demand for high quality, and also they want personalized care, which most of the health system, especially our health system, are not able to actually cater for this. And there is another important aspect. The fifth point is many countries are facing the challenges of reaching what we call the universal coverage or universal health coverage. Universal health coverage is a new concept which was introduced by WHO back in 2007 and adopted fully by WHO in 2008. And one of the SDGs, a goal under goal number 3, dalam itu dimasukkan universal health coverage. We'll talk about universal health coverage after this. What we know now is that at least 1 billion people suffer each year because they cannot obtain healthcare services. They have healthcare needs, but they cannot access the services for various reasons. Not only because they stay they stay in a very remote area, but even in the urban areas, people cannot afford to actually cannot access the services because they don't have the affordability to do that. 150 million people yearly do not who do use the services are subjected to financial catastrophe. Kita katakan dalam ilmu health economics, apabila we spend 5% of our income on healthcare, that is more likely to go into a level of financial catastrophe. They become poor because they have to pay for the services. 100 billion people were pushed below the poverty line as a result of paying for the healthcare services. Daripada 150 million tadi, 100 million become poor because they are sick. In the next 20 years, 40 to 50 million new healthcare workers will be needed in order to take care of the current healthcare needs. And people-centered and integrated healthcare is very critical if you want to achieve the new concept of health, which is the universal health coverage. In 2007, Professor Anne Mills, she is one of my supervisor when I was studying health economics in London School of Hygiene in the 90s. She actually coined this idea or this concept of universal health coverage. According to her, the universal health coverage refers to a situation where everybody in the country will have access to good quality of services according to their healthcare needs and also according to their preferences. But this access should not be influenced or should not be determined by income level, social status, or the place where they live, residency. So in order to achieve this, we must make sure that the system are very responsive to the needs of the population. Especially important aspect here is that access to good quality services regardless of income level. And this is something that is very important for us to think about. So universal health coverage means that everyone can access quality services without having to face the financial hardship, which I mentioned about the financial catastrophe just now. And of course, one of the important area that need to be tackled when we want to achieve universal health coverage is to give priority to the poor. Ini bukan gambar kat Malaysia. This is in Philippines and many other countries where we have people in the group of poverty. Kita ada B40, but maybe this one is below than that. So how are we going to achieve universal health coverage? Number one, we know that the cost is increasing. So one of the reasons or one of the things that proposed by WHO is that the cost should be shared by the entire population through some form of prepayment method and also risk pooling. Rather than people who are sick, they themselves have to shoulder the cost. This is an important aspect because we know in healthcare, in health, there is something called externalities. If somebody in the community is sick, it is not only the person that is sick who suffer, but the whole population, because if it is an infectious disease, it might spread to other people. Access should be based on the need of the individuals and the families, and it should not be related to ability to pay. So this is where the concept of equity is very important for us to consider. When we want to look at universal health coverage, there are 3 indicators that the WHO used to assess whether we have achieved this or not. Number 1, in terms of the service coverage. Number 2, in terms of the population that are being covered by the services. And number 3, it looks at the financial coverage. How much total cost of the whole services and how much is covered by the insurance ataupun other risk pooling mechanism, and not depending too much on the individuals to pay for the services. So these are the 4 important strategies to achieve universal health coverage. Universal health coverage historically, it was actually created because of the failure of primary healthcare concept, or the health for all concept, which was introduced in 1977. Because in 1977, WHO introduced a concept of health for all by year 2000 through primary healthcare, and they want to achieve this by year 2000. Sampai year 2000, we know that still cannot be achieved. Then WHO changed the strategy into universal health coverage, and this has now been absorbed as one of the SDG, the Sustainable Development Goals, and we hope that we will be able to achieve this in 2030. The 4 strategies to achieve universal health coverage: number 1, giving the priority to poor, so that the poorest and the most vulnerable of the population should be covered by some form of mechanism to ensure that they will be able to access healthcare services. Increase reliance on public funding, especially the public funding for the poor. Jadi kita ada program untuk B40 yang kita lakukan sekarang dalam program insurance ataupun health financing for the poor. This is not enough, although it is a good initiative created by the previous government, which is continued now. Reduce out-of-pocket expenditure. This is very important because the higher the out-of-pocket expenditure, which means that when people have to pay on their own income, it is very difficult for us to achieve universal health coverage, because it will more likely to lead to the concept of inequity. And then the health system should be further developed, which means that the current health system needs to be improved and to be reformed. In the development of healthcare in the health system itself, which is the 5th point here, it includes things like establishment of a prepayment system. For example, it can be social health insurance, it can be other form of health financing scheme. The system should be decentralized, encourage stakeholders to work in the team. Ini katakan stakeholders, and we're talking about networking among various stakeholders. Remember, healthcare is not only the business of the Ministry of Health. Under social determinant of health, other sectors, there is a health component that need to actually work together. We need to empower community to support the health system, and of course, being involved in research, we are concerned with the use of data. Access must be given to people who are trained to assess, to actually analyze this data, and to help to contribute in the proper decision making. Jadi kalau kita lihat universal coverage banyak komponennya, all this should be put in place in order for us to achieve this. And of course, there are many obstacles. Things like, for example, which I mentioned earlier on, the challenges raised in chronic non-communicable diseases, imaging of new diseases, like we have COVID-19. We suffer for a period of 3 years. Now we are in the endemic stage, but we do not know what kind of pandemic that we're going to face again in the future. Raise in healthcare costs and inadequate information for decision making. And one of the important area, which is my research, is on financing. Lack of sustainable financing is one of the major problems that we face. In terms of the global scenario on health expenditure, we know that global spending on health is about 7.3 trillion US dollar per year, which is equivalent to 10% of the global GDP. And the rate of increase, kalau dilihat between 2000 to 2015, is about 6% per year. But of course, I think after COVID-19, it will be more, because we have a post-COVID conditions and also all this long COVID that needs a lot of attention. Global expenditure in terms of per capita is about 1,011 US dollar per capita. And half of the countries spend less than 366 US dollar per capita. And 50 countries, which is 2.7 million people, 2.7 billion people in the world, spend less than 100 US dollar per year per capita to take care of their health. Of course, it is not enough. Malaysia itself, we are actually spending half of the total global average. We are spending between 5 to 500, in fact, between 450 to 500 US dollar per capita per year. So we are still a lot of facing a lot of issues of underfunding. More than 100 countries in the world have implemented social health insurance. Ini satu lagi masalah. Malaysia is one of the countries that are lagging behind, while most of the countries in the world are moving toward some form of health financing which is sustainable. Kita still depend a lot on taxation, which is of course not adequate. I just want to flash the Sustainable Development Goal. The reason is because when we talk about universal health coverage, goal number 3 is specifically where universal health coverage was actually parked in, good health and also well-being. Having said that, there are other goals in the SDGs which are also related to health. Number 1, issues of poverty, education, which is very important. Goal number 6 on water and sanitation, and goal number 13 on climate change. All these 4 other goals will have a major impact on health and also well-being. Goal number 3 is focus on maternal and child health, infectious diseases like AIDS, tuberculosis, and other neglected tropical diseases, non-communicable diseases prevention and treatment, substance abuse injuries, and the last point is on universal health coverage and financial risk protection. If you look at the economic burden of non-communicable diseases between 2011 predicted to 2025, the upper middle income country needs to spend nearly about 5.1 trillion US dollar per year to cover these 4 conditions: diabetes, cardiovascular diseases, myocardial infarct, heart attack and all that, respiratory diseases and cancers. Ini baru 4 diseases. There are altogether about 14,500 diseases in the world today. Lower middle income countries spend about 1.85 trillion, and low income country only spend about 0.31 trillion US dollar. Overall, total for low and middle income country is about 7.2 trillion US dollar. This is not enough. This is the amount of money that we spend in the world today, especially in the low and middle income country, is just inadequate, even to solve the issue of the non-communicable diseases, chronic non-communicable communicable diseases. And among the chronic non-communicable diseases, the important diseases are cardiovascular diseases, which actually 51% of the resources need to be put in, cancer, followed by respiratory diseases, cancer, and of course diabetes. And most of these resources are actually spent in upper middle income countries, 70% of the resources. Only 4% in low income country and 26% in low middle income country. So what about Malaysia? In Malaysia, we look at the overall health system. Kita ada 3 important pillars. These are the services and facilities. We have the public facilities, which is spearheaded by Ministry of Health, supported by other ministries like Ministry of Education. We have a few teaching hospitals. We provide the services. Ministry of Defense, where they have military hospitals, and also local authorities to contribute to a certain extent. Private for profit, we have private hospital, private clinic, pharmacies, laboratories. Currently, and also during the COVID-19, government is struggling how to actually get people to utilize private hospital to reduce the dependency too much on the public facilities. And this is not well sorted out, because one of the major lacking is that people will not go to the private hospital unless the government arrange for a financing mechanism. And at the same time, we have the private for non-profit, like the NGOs, cancer NGOs, NGOs that provide services for HIV/AIDS and also provide palliative services. If you look at the total expenditure as a percentage of GDP for Malaysia, we spend about 4.3% of our GDP. And this is very much lower compared to average for the upper middle income country or high income country. High income countries spend about 12.5%. And overall in the world, if you look at all the average 195 countries, of course, dominated by US, we spend about 17% of their GDP is around 9.8 to 10%. So we are actually do not have enough resources, or we actually underfunding the health services currently, and also probably in the future if we don't do something. This is for, if you look at OECD countries, the average OECD countries is double what we are spending in Malaysia. OECD countries spend about 9.5% of their GDP on healthcare. One of the major issues on our healthcare system is not only on the funding quantum, but also the percentage that are being contributed from out of pocket. This is where people pay on their own without the control or the support from the government. Currently, in 2019, it was estimated that our out-of-pocket expenditure is about 33%. Currently, it has gone to nearly about 34%. If you look at a high-income country, only 13%. OECD country, only 13.8%. And then overall in the world is around 14%, half of what we are spending. The higher the level of out-of-pocket expenditure without government intervention, the more likely that people will go into below the poverty line when they fall sick, or what we call face the catastrophic health expenditure. Recently, the government is looking at health white paper. It was introduced by the previous Minister of Health and continued now with the new government. There are 4 pillars: transforming healthcare delivery, advancing health promotion and prevention, ensuring sustainable financing, and strengthening health system foundation and governance. You can see that the financing is given quite prominence here as one of the important pillars. And these need to be sorted out. And we hope that the government is planning to actually present this in Parliament and to get it approval before activities can be carried out to fill up all the requirements for each of the 4 pillars. So in conclusion, we know that health and well-being is affected by many factors, and many of these factors are outside the health system. Universal health coverage, which I mentioned many times, is currently the most important health system objective in all countries in the world. All the 195 countries subscribe to this idea, and they're trying to achieve this. Chronic non-communicable diseases are showing increasing trend globally. Poverty is a major obstacle to achieve universal health coverage. And we have the SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals, are new development goals to fight poverty, inequality, and also justice, and to tackle climate change by 2030. So I will stop here. Thank you so much for your attention, and I look forward to discuss if we have any question after this. Back to you, Aisyah. Yeah.
Okey, terima kasih Prof. Datuk Syed. A very interesting points from economics point of view in terms of health. Yeah. Sebelum saya tanya soalan, sementara itu boleh tak kita buka kepada audience yang berminat untuk dapatkan penjelasan lagi daripada Prof. Datuk Dr. Syed? Anybody would like to ask question before we go to the next speaker?
Assalamualaikum.
Terima kasih. Ya, waalaikumsalam. Mazlan. Dr. Mazlan.
Prof. Datuk Syed, apa khabar Prof?
Alhamdulillah. Thanks for joining.
Prof, saya ada this question for quite some time nak tanya dah Prof. Regarding how that Malaysia is supposed to go and achieve that universal health coverage. I believe that Prof pun aware about how the Malaysian government since 80s try nak reform our healthcare system, reform our healthcare financing. So in what best way that suppose Malaysia go about to relieve the burden of government with the beverage system, dengan ada yang idea dulu nak kenakan social health insurance dan sebagainya. So ke arah mana sebenarnya Prof our healthcare system dan juga healthcare financing in your opinion Prof? Thank you.
Yeah, actually boleh saya bagi input respond on this. Actually, our healthcare system need to be reformed. Kita dah cuba lakukan reformation for the past a few years. In fact, in 1980s, middle 1980s, dah ada banyak inisiatif untuk change our health system. Ada 7 or 8 attempts has been done by the government. One of the area that they want to tackle is, of course, on the issues of financing. Karena kalau kita lihat, I mentioned 100 countries in the world out of 195, especially middle and high income countries have moved toward health financing system which are managed by the government. Sometimes they call it a national health financing scheme, sometimes they call it social health insurance scheme. This is the major thing that is lacking in our health system. Sebab tu dalam health white paper kita ada satu pilar khusus untuk health financing ni. Kalau kita dapat selesaikan masalah health financing ni based on our neighboring countries like Indonesia, for example, I work a lot with Indonesia. I'm the consultants from the year of 2005 sampai hari ini. We developed the Jaminan Kesihatan Nasional, and we can see how the system developed so fast. Look at Vietnam, for example. They have a national health insurance, Vietnam health insurance. Look at Thailand, for example. So when we have a health financing system, this will actually help to tie up all the different sectors within the health sector. Currently, one of the major problems, not only lack of financing, but the sectors that are contributing to healthcare are not actually being fragmented. Kita ada the private sector yang manage and actually run on its own. We had the public facilities, and then when we want to actually mobilize the resources to solve problems when we face a major issue like pandemic, we will not be able to do that. I believe that one of the areas that we have to focus on at the moment is to strengthen our health financing mechanism and go back to the suggestions by WHO that move towards universal health coverage and give priority to prepayment system, prepaid system like we have in other countries. And then that is one of the major reform. Kita terlalu perlahan dalam melakukan perubahan-perubahan ini. I think kita tak boleh tunggu lagi apabila COVID-19 hit us last 3 years, the system almost collapsed. Dan kita menghadapi masalah sekarang ni, kita ada 30,000 deaths berlaku, kemudian 100,000 of cases, kebanyakannya in the future nanti akan menghadapi masalah long COVID, dan kita menghadapi masalah nanti macam mana nak manage this if we don't have a proper financing system. Not only because I'm a health economist, I'm pushing for it, but I think this will be a major breakthrough in order to improve our health system. Social health insurance or national health financing scheme based on the run by the government was created long time ago. The first country in the world to introduce the social health insurance is Germany, masa Chancellor Bismarck in 1893. And after that, it spread to other countries. Currently, almost all the 50 European countries has actually developed this, and they are moving, their healthcare system are much better. Most of the OECD countries have a have a health financing system which are quite strong. Jadi kita kena move toward this. I think this is one of the solution. The policy makers and everybody who are interested in healthcare should contribute to push for it, so that one day we will have a proper system that I would like to see established in Malaysia. I was very sad when I saw the Indonesia, who actually the health system are much not better than us before. Now they are moving much faster. They have developed quite well. Although now they are the biggest country in the world that run social health insurance, which we call it Jaminan Kesihatan Nasional. 270 juta penduduk Indonesia, they become the biggest country in the world that runs the national health financing system. I think Dr. Mazlan, that's my input. Yeah.
Maybe nanti tuas ya silakan Cik Mazlan.
Thank you, Dato'.
Nanti kita minat elaboration on that lah, the Indonesian jaminan tu, sistem jaminan kesihatan.
Ya. InsyaAllah.
Adakah dia ambil wang tu dahulu ke saving ke Prof Dato'? Is it saving, like a saving?
No, it's not a saving. It's not a saving. It's a social health insurance program where people contributes through many channels lah.
Alright.
Nanti kita ada apa nama tu
very interesting to know more about that. Okay, terima kasih Prof Dato'. Okay, seterusnya kita pergi kepada panelis yang kedua, Prof Dr. Hajah Adlina. Silakan Prof, mulakan perbincangan.
Assalamualaikum. Sekejap ya, saya sharekan dulu saya punya screen ya.
Yes.
Can see?
Belum. Alright, dah keluar dah.
Okay. Okay. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh dan selamat pagi kepada semua yang hadir pada webinar ini. Terima kasih Prof Aisyah for the introduction. Saya akan mengambil approach yang lebih personal lah. Pasal Dr. Said tadi dah cover daripada segi ekonomi dan secara besar the overall picture of kesihatan dan sebagainya. Tapi saya akan ambil approach yang lebih personal dan saya akan cakap dalam dua bahasa sebab ada setengah slide tu dalam bahasa Inggeris yang saya rasa kalau kita translate tak memberi impact lah sangat kepada apa yang saya ingin katakan hari ini. So kita tahu yang konsep madani, yang inilah kita telah cakap sekarang ni. So kita tahu konsep ini telah diperkenalkan oleh Datuk Seri Anwar dan diikhtiar untuk memetakan strategi tata kelakuan dan pentadbiran negara secara berkesan menekankan kepada pemekasan ekonomi dan budaya yang berteraskan nilai etika atau akhlak. So objektifnya ialah melahirkan masyarakat madani membolehkan setiap manusia mencapai kesejahteraan dan kebahagiaan. Dan ini adalah kelompok utama gagasan madani iaitu kemampuan, kesejahteraan, daya cipta, hormat, keyakinan dan insan. Dua konsep utama ialah ketelusan dan kerjasama. So ini ada diwawarkan tadi, ada dicakap oleh Prof Datuk Syed Arjun tadi bahawa perlu ketelusan dan perlu banyak kerjasama. Kalau kita nak melahirkan konsep apa tu nak mendapatkan apa katakan masyarakat yang madani dan juga madani pada segi pentadbiran. Jadi daripada segi kesihatan, mari kita pergi kepada segi kesihatan. Jadi daripada segi kesihatan tadi telah dibentangkan daripada definisi WHO yang apa ada health is a state of complete physical, mental, social well-being. So bukan sahaja physical tapi mental dan juga social. Dan persoalannya, adakah anda sihat sejahtera dan bagaimanakah mencapai sihat sejahtera? Dan kita perlu mengamalkan langkah pencegahan menghindari penyakit sebelum jatuh sakit. Dan kepada mereka yang sakit, kita perlu mencari cara untuk kita jangan jatuh lebih sakit. Jadi jangan kita develop komplikasi dan sebagainya. Jadi tapi apa yang saya akan cakap di sini ialah cadangan adalah berdasarkan pendapat peribadi yang disokong oleh rujukan daripada pendidikan, laporan dan dokumen, artikel akhbar yang diletak di bawah slide. Jadi kalau bawah slide you can see dia punya references, dia punya sumber-sumber yang saya ambil, apa yang saya cakap ni. Jadi langkah perlindungan dan pencegahan adalah cadangan. Apa yang saya cadangkan, you can take it. If you want to take it, if you don't want to take it, it's up to you. Jadi anda perlu mengetahui apa yang paling sesuai untuk diri anda. Tapi jangan sekali-sekali menghentikan sebarang ubat yang diberi oleh doktor anda. Jika ragu-ragu, sila dapatkan nasihat doktor. So kita mengimbas kembali kepada sejarah perubatan Islam. Kita balik sekejap. Dari 661 hingga 750, this is actually AD, semasa dinasti Umayyah, mereka percaya bahawa setiap penyakit ada rawatannya. Menjelang 900 AD, banyak komuniti Islam zaman pertengahan telah mula membangun dan mengamalkan sistem perubatan dengan unsur saintifik. Dan Muhammad Al-Razi, bapa perubatan Islam, adalah ulama dan pengamal perubatan terhebat pada zamannya. Banyak teks perubatannya terus dirujuk di Timur Tengah dan Eropah ratusan tahun selepas kematiannya pada 925. Ibn Sina, Ibn Sina dia telah membuat kemajuan dalam farmakologi dan dalam amalan klinikal dan dia mencipta sistem perubatan yang hari ini kita panggil holistik. Dan tadi Datuk saya ada cakap mengenai holistik. Kita kena melibatkan environment kita, sosial kita semua ke dalam, dan kita perlu tengok across board. Jangan hanya kepada terlalu hanya kepada kita concentrate pada satu saja. Nanti saya akan ceritakan apa yang berlaku. Holistik di mana faktor fizikal, psikologikal, obat-obatan dan diet digabungkan dalam merawat pesakit. So petua kesihatan dan kecergasan terbaik mengikut ajaran Islam adalah ini. Amalan kesederhanaan dalam diet, elakkan daripada mengambil alkohol dan daging babi. Makan perlahan-lahan, hydrate dengan cara yang betul, jangan lupa tentang kebersihan fikiran, elakkan mengalah kepada kemarahan. Dan kekal aktif dan izinkan diri anda tidur malam yang nyenyak. Now, kalau kita tengokkan ini yang kita punya ajaran, dan ini juga tertera dalam apa yang dibawakan oleh Saint Hildegard von Bingen. Dia adalah lebih relevan untuk isu semasa kerana percayaan bahawa bumi, badan dan roh adalah aspek kesihatan yang bersatu. Apabila kesan perubatan akibat bencana alam sekitar menjadi jelas, apabila bentuk rawatan baru terus muncul serta memandang kembali kepada alam persekitaran, dan ketika obat bergerak ke arah merawat keseluruhan orang, apa yang disyorkan oleh Saint Hildegard von Bingen, dan juga sebenarnya ada cakap di dalam apa yang perubatan Islam menunjukkan boleh berfungsi sebagai sauh pada masa lalu dan tunjuk arah untuk masa depan. Dan ini adalah sumber ini adalah daripada jurnal satu jurnal yang mengimbas kembali kepada perubatan natural medicine. Looking back into natural medicine. 5 teras kesihatan yang dianjurkan ialah sedia tengokkan sama juga dengan apa yang saya cakap tadi mengenai dengan apa Islam menyatakan, iaitu menyuburkan jiwa, pemakanan yang sihat, mengukuhkan pertahanan mental, detoksifikasi badan dan keteraturan dalam gaya hidup. Right? So pertama sekali, nourish the soul. Kita mulakan dengan solat, sembahyang. Daripada apa segi agama pun, sembahyang. Menyuburkan jiwa. Masa yang tenang dengan Tuhan, jadilah rendah hati, bersantai dan luangkan masa untuk merasai berhubung dengan pencipta anda. Waktu terbaik ialah waktu awal pagi, manakala yang lain masih tidur, hanya merenung, bernafas dan rasa aman dengan diri anda sendiri dan alam semesta. Dan banyak telah kita ketahui bahawa meditation, yoga dan sebagainya, just duduk dan just berzikir, it is all times di mana kita tenang. Dan dia berlaku selepas subuh. Masa yang terbaik untuk kita bercakap dengan pencipta kita. Alright, so diriwayatkan oleh Abu Hurairah, Nabi Muhammad SAW pernah bersabda, tiada penyakit yang diciptakan Allah melainkan dia juga yang menciptakan rawatannya. Dan kita tidak mengambil prinsip ni, kita cari. Semua penyakit ada ubatnya. Mana? Kita kena cari. So, saya nak beritahu yang sebenarnya tahun lepas pada bulan Mac 2022, saya telah didiagnos dengan penyakit barah bayi dara. Dan saya melalui operation pada 22 bulan Mac. It's just a few days sebelum bulan puasa. And let me tell you, lepas you jatuh sakit, then only you actually realize that you have taken care of yourself better before you fell sick. Sepatutnya cegah sebelum jatuh sakit. So dah jatuh sakit, barulah nak mencari kan. Di samping kita merawat daripada cara perubatan yang moden, kita juga mula baca. Dan dalam 1 tahun yang saya baca dan saya cari dan juga cari scientific evidence, inilah apa yang saya dapat. Dan saya nak share sebab saya tahu bahawa kalau saya cakap secara besar-besaran mengenai policy dan sebagainya, tidak akan mengimpact kepada anda yang datang ke sini hari ini yang mahu tahu macam mana nak sejahtera pada diri anda sendiri. Macam mana nak jaga kesihatan anda supaya anda jangan jatuh sakit. Macam mana yang kalau yang dah jatuh sakit, macam mana nak prevent daripada menjadi komplikasi. Jadi kita nak ketahui. Dan untuk kita yang makin tua, kita nak tahu juga bagaimana kita boleh tua dengan sihat. Bukan tua dengan sakit. So sekarang kita pergi kepada apa pula? Ini adalah mengenai dengan solat. Kalau kita katakan tak ada evidence, ada juga orang yang cari evidence dia. Solat dan doa syafaat untuk kesejahteraan orang yang disangi. Bila kita dapati bukan sahaja memperbaiki hubungan tetapi juga berfungsi kepada pemakaian orang yang berdoa. Penggunaan oksigen dan sebagainya akan bertambah baik. You mesti tahu kan kalau kita doakan orang kan dan orang tahu kita tengah didoakan, kita sendiri dengan badan kita akan mengeluarkan benda-benda yang baik seperti serotonin dan sebagainya. Di mana mereka hormon-hormon dan enzim-enzim semua yang baik-baik yang keluar ni semua membantu kita. Kita tidak mahu badan kita masuk kepada fasa flight and fright. Flight and fright mode ni bila dia masuk fasa flight and fright, kita keluarkan adrenalin. Bila keluarkan adrenalin, kita akan guna semua bahan-bahan dalam badan kita untuk kita nak lari. Jadi bila kita kerja dan kita stres, itulah kita punya badan pergi ke tahap itu. Jadi kita akan guna all kita punya nutrisi kita untuk kita nak stres kita. Jadi kita ambil semua ini nutrisi daripada kita punya sistem imun. Jadi that's how we stress. Yang kata stres yang menyebabkan banyak penyakit. So kita kena, jadi dengan kita solat, kita spend a little bit extra time bila you solat to bring down the stress. Kalau kita kerja tu pasal lah zuhur ke apa, kalau boleh break sekejap ke, sembahyang duha ke apa ke, just do it because that gives you the break untuk you de-stress yourself. Turunkan balik the adrenaline content in your body. Masukkan balik good things like serotonin and all that coming out. Alright. Now, surah An-Nahl. Kemudian makanlah dari tiap-tiap buah-buahan dan tempuhlah jalan Tuhanmu dengan lemah lembut, dari perut lebah itu keluar minuman iaitu madu bermacam-macam warnanya, di dalam itu terdapat obat yang menyembuhkan bagi manusia. So this is the thing. Okay, kita tak tengok balik. Okay, asyik cari scientific evidence dalam Quran pun tak nak cari. Ya, jadi kita dalam tu sudah ada cakap macam-macam untuk kita ikut, tapi kita tak ikut. Okay, dan lagi satu, healthy eating ni. Okay, jintan manis. Kita tahu habatus sauda ada kesembuhan bagi semua penyakit kecuali mati. Okay, right. So makanan dan minuman yang sihat lebih elok. Okay, lebih elok jika kita go towards vegetarian kalau boleh. Kalau tak boleh, go half quarter-quarter. Setengah suku-suku. Dan itu setengah ialah buah-buahan dan juga orang kata fresh fruits and vegetables, ya. Buah-buahan segar, sayur segar, dan lepas tu suku protein dan suku adalah biji-bijian. Okay. Dan lain-lain tu semua tu. Ini semua anda dah pernah nampak. Orang pernah bercakap, pernah dengar. Ada MLM pernah datang. Okay. Tengok dalam Shopee pernah ada jual. Okay. So all these things, apa benda ni kat sini semua ni? Dia juga kata tak ada scientific evidence, but okay, banyak yang ada. Okay. So kalau tengok kalau you look for the scientific evidence, okay, banyak yang ada. Okay. Ni adalah separuh saja yang saya tak sini on vitamin C, vitamin D and on green tea. Okay. Tapi yang lain pun ada lagi. Cari, anda akan jumpa. Ya. Dan elakkan makanan berikut. Sekarang ni memang banyak. Ya. Gluten pasal dia GMO, soya pasal GMO. Okay. Sugar cane kalau boleh jangan ambil gula. Okay. Tu ambil alternatif macam stevia ataupun monk fruit. Okay. And it's quite nice. Monk fruit is very nice. Okay. Atau gula Melaka. Tapi gula Melaka yang pure bukan gula Melaka yang dicampur dengan gula. Ya. Dan chicken, yang kata chicken, okay, ada antibiotik, injection dan sebagainya, dan sekali-kali ada macam orang jual organik lah apalah. So cengoklah pada sama ada dia kata organik tu betul-betul organik ataupun chicken tu masih juga dia bagi makanan yang ada the GMO corn and all that, GMO jagung. Okay. Dairy products. Dia kata banyak yang lembu kadang diinjak dengan hormones kan dan sebagainya. Jika boleh cari yang orang kata pasture punya cows that eat ada pasture, that means dia makan rumput dan sebagainya. Jangan makan corn dan sebagainya. Because GMO ni akan cause a lot of problems. Okay? So GMO tahu is genetically modified organism. Ya? Okay? Now, strengthen mental health. Tadi pun dah ada cakap okay, mengenai mental defenses. Okay? Dan kalau kita ikutkan Hildegard, kalau ikutkan dia percaya berjalan mulia untuk hidup dengan baik memerlukan kewaspadaan dan disiplin untuk mengharungi kedua-dua kebaikan dan keburukan. So you see these are all the kebaikan dan keburukan that she has actually put aside. Dan dia tengokkan, dia tengok. Dia kata you've got inner love of spiritual, outer love for material. So dia ada dia punya virtues and vices. So every time you have to start the day like that. Okay. I give you an example today. Hari ni, I order Grab tadi. Okay, because tak sempat lah nak masak. Okay, nak pesan nak datang pasal this forum dan slide pun tak siap. But anyway, when the Grab arrive, orang kata apa, the air kan dah tertumpah ya, sebab tak tutup betul. Now, I could have just gone into an anger phase, betul tak? Tapi I was remembering this, I said, okay, patience. Kita jangan blame siapa-siapa, jangan blame the Grab driver, jangan blame the person maybe kat sana pun yang sibuk dan tak letak betul-betul, so benda tu tak betul-betul ni. So kita maafkan sajalah semua orang, just be patient and just keep quiet. Alright? No point for me to get angry and get all my adrenaline up again. Okay? I got enough adrenaline this morning already, just preparing for this. Okay, so I said, okay, no, take it easy. Breathe in, breathe out. Ambil dia punya apa tu, tea bag ada lagi. Okay, masukkan air panas dah. Done. It's okay. Alright. So we have to learn how to be happy. Yeah. And nanti lepas ni Dr. Lim cakap ya macam mana nak be happy. Okay. So all these things. Look at things from a more patient and positive point of view. Okay. Detox. Scientifically, modern medicine tak percaya. Tak percaya langsung. Kalau you tengokkan dah studies that diorang buat pun, dia kata no, there's no significant difference whether you detox or not. Okay. Okay, so you tengok yang this one, dia kata sini, dia kata the human body can defend itself. So the human body can detox itself. Yes, it can, if it is not contaminated okay, with so many things. Okay, like in what we have in our environment today, the GMOs, the pesticides, the semua benda di dalam, everything is already got contaminated when we eat it. Okay, so therefore, whether or not this is true is up to you to decide. Okay. Now, bekam. If you say that just now dia kata this one doesn't work detox, but bekam is already been there for thousands of years. Betul tak? So therefore, menurut hadis, Rasulullah SAW pernah bersabda sekiranya ada kebaikan dan rawatan perubatan kamu, ia adalah pada pisau berjuru bekam, minum madu atau membakar dengan api sesuai dengan punca penyakit, tapi saya tidak mahu dibakar. So he actually asked you to do bekam, tapi not to do the type that is using the heat one. Okay. I do this. Okay. Even before I got my cancer, I was already doing this. Okay, at least try to do it every 6 months. Okay, it is not scary, it is not painful. Okay, and actually you feel really light after you do it. Okay? Dia meningkatkan daya keingatan, memajangkan penglihatan, membersihkan badan, melegakan kesakitan, memperbaiki peredaran darah, okay? Peningkatan intelek, membantu kesuburan, meningkatkan metabolisme anaerobik, mengurangkan keradangan, meningkatkan imuniti selular. Okay? Fasting. Okay? Kenapa agama kita suruh kita, kenapa Allah suruh kita fast? Basically, the 1 month is for us to do detox. Okay? Okay, so kita ada restrictive food intake. It prevents chronic ailments, high cholesterol, heart disease, high blood pressure, obesity. Okay, and also improves the mental health and well-being. Intermittent fasting has been advocated for a lot of diseases. Banyak penyakit. Yeah, dia kata intermittent fasting about 16 hours is good to be done, but don't continuously do it lah pula. Yeah, just you can do it for about 2 weeks and then stop. You know, and then but you must remember, for Islam we have got fasting in the Monday, okay, Isnin dan Khamis, yang advocated for us to do. Why was it put there? You ask yourself. Okay, so this is the benefits of intermittent fasting for penyakit Alzheimer, sakit sendi, asma, sklerosis, berbilang dan stroke. Exercise, okay, being physically active can definitely improve your brain health, help manage your weight, reduce the risk of disease, strengthen your bones and muscles, improve ability to do everyday activities. Adults who sit less and do any amount of moderate to vigorous physical activity gain some health benefits. Look at all the activities you can do. You don't really need to jog. Okay, so I try to walk, I do qigong, okay, and I try and do it every day. This is what happened to me daripada bulan March tahun lepas, sejak saya buat operation. Bulan April, you tengok I only covered 34.2 kilometers. Tapi tengok bulan Mei, bulan Jun, bulan Julai, bulan August, every month it was increasing. It is now about 158.9 kilometers per month. Okay, it's averaging about 5 kilometers per day. You have to move. Do it. Move. Okay. Start for after subuh, where the sun just comes up around 6:45. Walk. It's just half an hour. Okay. Every day of your life. Okay. It's going to have a lot of ailments you can hilangkan. Okay. Spine alignment. Go and see a chiropractor once a while. Maybe once every 6 months. Because everything comes out from your spine. Yang larikan, jalankan your badan datang pada spine. Dia pergi ke all over your body, your heart, your liver, everything, your kidney. If your spine is not properly aligned, itulah dia. Taklah, nanti macam mana penyakit datang. Okay, so proper spinal alignment is critical for our health, okay, and wellness. Okay, allows the nervous system, which controls all our body functions, to operate without interference. No blockages and all that. Okay, remember that. Yeah. Then there's a lot of other things. This one, since you all are here and all of you are, most of your academics, you can find out. These are all things that are available now. Some are very new. Okay, plasma, quantum are all very new. So if you have no time to cover for this, please go and read it yourself. This is Spring Power Essences, healing musics, solfeggio, frequencies that can heal, lifestyle, good quality sleep, for heaven's sake. This one's very difficult to do. I know for a lot of people, including myself. 7-9 jam tidur sehari. Okay, I definitely tak fit. Okay, I get only 5 to 6, maybe even less. But we have to have that because kita nak recover. Masa tidurlah kita punya self recover. Okay, masa tidur tu, dan tidur juga kalau boleh gelap dalam, jangan agak kegelapan dia. Semua orang tak tahu dia gelap, dia takut lah, apa tak tahu. Okay, tapi kalau boleh digelap, bisa dia, masa tu lah melatonin. Okay, and it will work. Okay, okay, tidur waktu malam membantu menyelaskan irama circadian badan. Okay, atau kita jam dalaman kita dengan persekitaran kita. Jadi masa circadian yang betul adalah penting untuk kualiti tidur dan mempengaruhi kesihatan mental, fungsi kardiovaskular, metabolisme dan elemen penting lain secara keseluruhan. Reduce stress. Saya cakap je lah, tapi memang tak boleh lah. Semua kat sini ni memang stress je. Okay. Jadi, tapi kita boleh reduce by aktiviti kita. Kalau kita go for that morning walk, kita buat kita punya qigong, kita meditate selepas kita semayang sekejap, kita boleh renung dan and then once in a while go for holiday. Okay, 2 minggu ke, 3 minggu ke, go. Okay. Okay, lepas tu kita boleh buat bermacam-macam benda. Kita boleh tulis, kita boleh buat hobi dan sebagainya. Okay. Saya akan touch sikit tentang EMR. So this is what my studies that I have done since way back in 2002. I've been doing studies on electromagnetic field radiation. And this is when you are like here now, sitting in front of the computer, using your handphone, bringing your handphone all over the place. Betul tak? Ya, semua orang bawa ada device. Tak ada seorang pun yang tidak ada device. Masa MCO, semua orang duduk dekat dalam rumah buat kerja pakai komputer. Okay. Jadi ini adalah dari mana sumber-sumber electromagnetic field radiation, dan ketika ada tower dekat rumah anda, maka ini adalah cara ia akan the waves akan keluar dan ia akan efek pada mana-mana bahagian dari antara 50 hingga 300 meter daripada telco tower. Apa yang authority cakap? Dia kata dalam tahun 2010 tak apa, tidak ada apa-apa, public anxiety, not founded. Okay, it's unfounded. Okay, it's safe. And this was the World Health Organization, Ghana Atomic Energy Commission. Okay. But 31 Mei 2021, oh tak, International Agency Research on Cancer berkata possible human carcinogen kelas 2B. Lepas tu 2023 pula kata okay, sepatutnya classify kelas 1 lah. Okay. Dia pakai the Bradford Hill criteria. Okay. Lepas tu WHO pula dah way long ago daripada dulu lagi dia kata yang it is psychosomatic when it comes to electromagnetic field punya hypersensitivity. Oh, this is psychological lah, dia kata tak ada kena-mengena dengan perkara yang sebenarnya. Okay, there's no such thing. No clear diagnosis. Okay. Now, jika lah electromagnetic this hypersensitivity it is untrue like they say in 2005, then why was in 2011 the Parliamentary Assembly Council of Europe adopted the report by European Committee for the Safety of Non-Ionizing Radiation about the potential dangers of EMF, and to pay particular attention to electrosensitive persons suffering from severe intolerance to EMF. Okay, but WHO still say no, it's psychosomatic. Okay, so so this one is from the Association for Research and Treatment Against Cancer. Their data strongly suggests that electromagnetic hypersensitivity and chemical sensitivity are not psychiatric illness and can be objectively characterized and routinely diagnosed by commercially available simple tests. Both disorders appear to involve inflammation-related hyperhistonemia, is an allergic-like reaction, oxidative stress, autoimmune response, capsulothalamic hypoperfusion, blood-brain barrier opening, and a deficit in melatonin metabolic availability, suggesting a risk of chronic neurodegenerative disease if you are overexposed to all these things. Okay. Therefore, there's comparative study done also on noise and electromagnetic that found that the effect was more noticeable for electromagnetic exposure, whereby there was changes in serum glucose, total protein, globulin, albumin, RBC, HB, ACT, and FCHC. Okay, therefore it affected your blood indicators also. Okay, even your metabolic indicators. Okay. And this was actually way back in 2001, 22 years ago, that actually they found out that at certain levels of the power of electromagnetic field radiation that you are exposed to, you get certain things happening. And as low as 0.1 microwatt per meter squared, not watt per meter squared, microwatt per meter squared, you already have decreased cell proliferation. Okay, and when you go up to about 1000, you see what happens. You get all this neurological system negatively affect memory, low latency cancer, and everything else. And by the time we reach 10,000 microwatts, there's leakage of the blood-brain barrier. Okay. Now, recent there are studies in Nordic countries. Okay, 30% to more than 200% more brain tumors. Okay. They have found that is happening. That's why you notice that in the Nordic countries, they are actually going to a lot of things about telco towers being a certain 300 meters away, a handphone and all usage could reduce it, and all sorts of stuff. Okay, and of course it affects fertility. Okay, decline in the rate of fertilization rate, spermatogenic numbers, and everything else. Okay, and of course oxidative stress. Okay, initially when I also have done a few studies, but initially when I did my study and the first study that I presented, actually they were challenging me as to this thing about oxidative stress, and lo and behold, somebody found out about this in 2021. Okay, we already suspected way back in 2004. Okay, this is my study and I published it. You can see the number of downloads and citations and views. And if you see here, comparison of symptom frequencies as its significance between the exposed and not exposed residents on a telco tower showed statistically significant for headache, giddiness, insomnia, loss of memory, lidar, mental slowness, okay, reduced reaction time, and mood swing. The odds ratio for development of NSHS score more than 1 for all that gave a conclusion. The respondents who were exposed were more likely to suffer symptoms as compared to respondents who were not exposed to electromagnetic field radiation from telco towers. Okay, so prevention is better than cure. Sehingga terbukti sebaliknya dan teknologi menjadi selamat. Okay. Kanak-kanak remaja sama sekali tidak boleh menggunakan telefon bimbit kerana mereka lebih berisiko daripada radiasi dan pertumbuhan sel dan aktiviti gelombang otak mereka masih belum stabil. Try not to give a handphone to anybody less than 14. Try. Okay. But I see in the people that walking into the clinic, anak 2 tahun pakai main dengan handphone. Okay. Saya tanya mak dia kenapa bagi handphone. Dia diam doktor. I said no. Budak-budak should not be diam. They should be running around. Let them run around. But take the handphone away and let her run around the clinic. Please. Boleh tak? You know, because this is why you do not want them to get problems because the penetration is more kalau dia is a child. Electromagnetic field goes deeper in kalau you are a child. So Dr. Salford telah memanggil penggunaan telefon bimbit oleh manusia sebagai percubaan biologi terbesar yang pernah ada. Mereka yang biasanya mengalami dementia Alzheimer pada usia tua boleh mendapatnya lebih awal. Mungkin meletakkan telefon bimbit ulang kali kepada kepala anda adalah sesuatu yang mungkin tidak baik untuk jangka masa yang panjang. Okay, so it's better for you to just onkan dia, loudkan dia kan, so then lepas tu you go somewhere and you talk to them, put the phone down. Okay, so ini adalah cara-cara untuk kita mencegah. Try avoid keeping the cell in pocket. Try not to call or continue speaking for a long time. Keep call short. When you call until you hear the voice on the set, don't put the phone in your ear. Turn off your phone, put on flight mode when you sleep at night. Okay. You can install metal barriers, you can use barriers of paints, you can use protective clothing. Every time, weekly, pergi buat earding. This is another thing yang kalau medical doctors dengan scientists kata apa benda lah earding ni. And it's nothing lah to do with us, you know. They don't believe in it. What is earding? They don't even believe in automatic field cause effect. Okay, what you do is just you go and soak yourself in salt water. So if I go beside the beach, maybe you can go to, in my case, I'm quite near the port. I just go to port. Put my feet on the beach. Stay there for 30 minutes, I'm done. Okay, you can go and find a spoil patch kat rumah you. Okay, make sure that tak ada lah tak kucing ke apa kat situ. Then just stand on it. Okay, kalau boleh when you stand on it, you tap on it. Okay, you do tapping. That means you buat this tapping punya ni because that actually is an exercise that actually activates all you punya reflexology points on your feet. Okay, so these are the things. Okay. Okay, daripada you soak yourself in the ocean ataupun mineral sport salt spa ataupun jacuzzi ataupun bathtub, bare feet touching the ground. That's all you need to do. Okay, once a week. Okay, lepas tu use kalau you ada duit, you can buy the devices. There are some devices that are around that you can actually buy. Okay, but don't fall for those yang MLM. Go and buy one that you can actually buy off the internet. But make sure that you know what you're buying. Okay, right. Okay. So cara kombinasi yang paling sesuai untuk anda cari sendiri. Saya mulakan hari saya dengan doa dan sikap positif. Minum air dan teh yang sihat, bersenam, okay? Makan makanan tidak tercemar yang berkhasiat. Apabila melakukan kerja pada komputer, make sure that you have breaks dan berehat. Kalau you duduk 2 jam, maybe you break for 20 minutes, 30 minutes. Do something else. Pergilah semai duha ke apa ke whatever. Okay? Hadkan masa telefon bimbit. Okay? Cuba untuk tidak terlalu tertekan, cari positivity dan negativity, belajar melepaskan you punya stres dengan mendengar muzik, melihat warna penyembuhan, mengambil hobi, pergi untuk mengurut, or just saying no, I don't want to do this. Somebody give you too much to do, no, I cannot do this. Okay? Jangan kejar sangat benda yang kita tak boleh nak kejar. Okay? Tidur yang cukup, tidur yang tidur dengan memaafkan semua orang sebelum anda tidur dan bangun dengan meminta dengan Allah, okay, ya Allah, today I wake up, I feel so healthy, I feel very positive. Who else can I help today? And this is now the days because I'm a bit better now, okay, recovered. So I ask every morning, who else can I help today? Okay. That's what you can do. Okay. Jika tidak pasti, tanya seseorang. Jika anda mengambil obat, terus berbuat demikian, patuh dengan susulan anda. Go for your follow-up. For doctors, 4 Ps, predictive, preventive, personalized, participative, represent the cornerstones of a modern medical clinical medicine. We need to look out of the box. That's something we don't do. Okay, so we need to look out of the box. We need to see what other measures there are that can help our patients, not just drugs, not just medicine, okay, not just operation, not just bedah. We need to look out. We need to give more to our patients. We need to see the patient as a person that is a person who eats, who sleeps, who exercises. How can we talk to them? Jangan aja, okay, hari ni apa khabar? Okay, apa sakit? Okay, batuk bagi buat batuk. Okay, demam bagi buat demam. Tapi tak pernah tanya benda yang lain mengenai dengan batuk dan demam seperti just simple things like, I see that you're coming every week. minta ubat batuk dan demam. Dah berapa banyak antibiotik you makan? Kenapa? Can you just tell me how it all started? Just a simple question. How did it all start? You getting all this COVID and all that and you tak baik. And it's not COVID. Okay? For all you know, its immune system is so down. For all you know, immune system is down because you tak makan betul. Right? Okay? So rumusan. Sejahterahkan anda dari segi kesihatan. So eloklah kita balik pada WHO. Oleh kerana everybody wants to look at WHO. Anyway, kita pakai precautionary principle. Prinsip berjaga-jaga menyatakan, jika produk, tindakan atau policy mempunyai risiko yang disyaki menyebabkan kemudaratan kepada orang ramai atau alam sekitar, tindakan perlindungan harus disokong sebelum terdapat bukti saintifik yang lengkap tentang risiko tersebut. Okay? This is something that we can follow. Okay? I'm not going any further than that. You know what I mean. Okay? So anda tidak boleh mengubah seluruh dunia anda, tetapi kita boleh mengubah dunia di keliling kita. Okay? Terima kasih kerana mendengar. Semoga anda semua berjaya dan semoga anda semua sihat sejahtera. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Salam. Terima kasih banyak Prof. Dr. Haja Adlina. Satu perkongsian yang sangat menarik pada saya berguna kerana kita terlupa kadang-kadang tentang diri kita sendiri. Kita lupa nak lihat kepada diri kita sendiri dalam menjaga kesejahteraan kesihatan kita. Okey, kita ada 2-3 minit. Any question from the audience? Sebab saya rasa very good points yang Prof. Dr. Alina bawa, detox. Actually the electromagnetic race tu susah betul nak elak. Kita berdepan dengan komputer sekarang ni, dengan handphone 24 jam. That is me. Okay, silakan. Anybody from the audience would like to ask question? Kita ada 1 or 2 minutes. Then we move to the lead.
Prof, can I ask a question?
Sure.
Yes, please.
In Malaysia, the food is very tasty, but they put sugar, too much sugar, gula. Let's say they put in any curry, in any kuih, they put sugar. So this sugar is actually risky because it can lead to increased diabetic condition and other things. So I think these doctors, they should advise the National Health Policy that without sugar also food can be tasty. Limited sugar is fine, but not in every curry, everything they put sugar. That's an issue also. Thank you, Prof. Thank you.
Well, Dr. Ashraf, actually the Ministry of Health has already talked about sugar long ago. I think around 10 years back, there have been actually how do you say it, statements and also media and all that actually they tell people how to not take too much sugar. Okay, so you will notice that in my talk I said don't take at all. no need to take at all sugar. Find the alternative. Just find stevia is there, monk fruit is there. Okay, you can use even our what's called our gula melaka. It comes from the coconut. Okay, those sugars actually taste better. You can use raw honey. Okay, instead of using sugar, you don't have to use all those things. So because sugar itself from sugarcane is the one that is the culprit. Okay, so that's why you are right that the number of diabetes is up. But I feel that the way we educate our diabetics and the way they eat is that it's not effective in the sense that people are not motivated enough to change. Yeah. So what is it that inside our system that when we are giving, when the dietitian is talking or the nutrition talking to the diabetics people, they don't want to follow. Okay, so the thing is that it's one of the things that I noticed that they don't want to try because they are afraid that the taste is going to be different. But let me tell you, monk fruit is really nice when it comes to sugar. Once you take monk fruit, you don't want to take sugar anymore. So okay, so the thing is that you have to get them to try. So maybe one of the things that they can do instead of just talk to the patient is actually let them try. Okay, say okay, this is stevia as a sweetener. This is monk fruit as sweetener. This is gula melaka. You try. This is raw honey. You try. Tengok sedap tak? Okay, so then that's it. Okay, yang mana satu rasa sedap, yang tu you try and change with your sugar. So that's one thing.
Prof, actually what I'm talking about, normally we eat outside, let's say our lunch or dinner. Now, we tell the chef or that kedai, don't give, but they put sugar. They cannot stop.
You can't stop that. Dr. Ashraf. You can't stop that unless you put a policy where who's going to go around testing for how much sugar you put in. So as I said, it could be education. Perhaps you can give education to all the restaurant owners. Okay. One of the ways you can work is, this is where I said just now, collaboration, not just Ministry of Health. Every time they say everything to do with diabetes is Ministry of Health. It's not true. Okay. You have to talk about agriculture, you got to talk about business, you got to talk about ministry. Okay, all the. So who actually handles restaurants? Is the the Majlis Bandaraya, Majlis Bandaraya, whatever. Okay, so maybe work with Majlis Bandaraya, Majlis Bandaran, whatever it is, to send out messages to restaurant owners that please reduce your salt. Okay, because who's going to monitor them? Okay, so I agree with you. So as consumers, our act is to not take it or reduce taking it. Okay, that's what we can do. So we educate consumers, they will demand for it, then the people that is in the restaurant have to change lah. Okay? Like sometimes I go to restaurant and say, okay, I want tesi kosong. Tesi kosong tahu apa kan? You know what's tesi kosong? Tesi kosong is the teh tarik without the susu pekat. That means the concentrated milk that has got sugar inside it. Many shops don't have that. Many shops say, saya boleh buat kurang manis. I can make it less sweet, but I cannot give you just milk and tea without the sugar inside it. Okay, so we need to change policies here. We need to educate the people. Changing policy will be too harsh because that will affect businesses. But maybe educate the restaurants, educate the people of buying from restaurants to demand that there must be a change.
Thank you, Prof. Dr. Haja Adlina.
Okay.
I think one way is for our to create many non-sugar food restaurants throughout Malaysia. All right.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you, Prof. Dr. Haja Adlina. We will have like 10 minutes at the end for more questions to all the panelists. So now I invite from Dr. Lim Hock Yam, because I cannot wait to hear about economics of happiness. This is so interesting, how that contribute to our health. Silakan, Prof. Dr. Lim, please take your floor.
Yes. Thank you.
All right.
Prof. Noazia, thank you very much. So, also thank you to the Professor Professor Syed and Professor Adina have been sharing a very nice knowledge to us. So it is totally new to me actually. Okay, so today I'm here actually. So this topic is very interesting actually. When I see this topic, I feel very excited as well. Okay, so kesejahteraan komuniti melalui kesejahteraan hidup. Sejahterahkah Anda? So I still remember Prof. Datuk Syed say that this is a very tough question. I think saya setuju juga lah. Okay, sebelum saya belajar economics of happiness, so I would feel that it is a very tough question. But actually, economics of happiness make it become a simple question. Okay, so let me share how economics of happiness in what they call measure a person's or individual's happiness. So we use only one item. We just ask one question. So the question sounds like this: all things considered, how satisfied are you with the life as a whole nowadays? It will sound like this, or they will sound like overall, how happy are you with your life? And then they will give you a rating scale from 1 being very unhappy to 7 or 10 or sometimes 5, sometimes 4 being very happy. So low scale, very unhappy, very happy. So 2 extreme. Then you just rate which one is your status. So this is actually the concept of overall life happiness. Or we can say that actually it is our kesejahteraan as well. Keseluruhan. Okay. So of course, this we call is a global one item measurement of happiness. So I think people from other disciplines, they might not happy. They are not happy with our happiness measurement. Okay, especially people from psychologists. So they like to use multiple items. Okay, so we agree on that. So how happiness economics come out in economic studies? Oh yeah, I forgot to apologize. I do not prepare the PowerPoint. So I don't know whether this will reduce your happiness or not. I hope it is not. Okay. So I do not prepare PowerPoint. I thought that I will become a salesperson for economics of happiness. Okay. Salesperson never need PowerPoint. Okay. So how economics of happiness come into economic studies? So actually, if you back to the history, the economics start actually with happiness. We have what is so-called utility theory. When we say utility, accounting people always misunderstand. They thought that utility of the electricity bill, water bill, but utility in economics means happiness, kesejahteraan. So we already have, and then we already put utility as an ultimate aim of a society, which is very important. In front of utility or happiness, we all are equal. Everyone are equal. So we want to maximize our community's utility. That means happiness, kesejahteraan. So, but why after a few hundred years, we have problem with the happiness? Because in order to measure happiness, it is very difficult. Happiness is subjective. Difficult to compare, difficult to measure. So how are you going to add up everybody's happiness in a community and become a one single number for community's happiness? When I say happiness, actually I refer to the Olof right happiness. Okay, I should mention this because psychology people, they refer happiness as a more emotional, affective perspective. Okay, but economics actually we look at connective as well, all of life happiness actually. Okay, so we have this problem. So that's why we shy away from happiness. So we make a very, or should I say a wrong assumption? We assume that consumption can be a good proxy for happiness. So that means you consume more goods, you are more happy. So that's why in our, if you learn basic economics in our indifferent curve, the higher the indifferent curve position, the higher the happiness level. This is what we assume. So this assumption have been challenged actually in 1970s. In 1970s, one economics from US, Eastering, so he found that actually our income increased, GDP per capita increased a lot in US, and then our happiness do not increase. So that means if you can imagine a graph, our GDP per capita is increasing, very nice, climbing up, but our happiness, it is fluctuate up, down, but a little bit. So that means if our GDP per capita increase sharply, we have more income. Okay, so when we have more income, that means our budget constraint increase. So we can consume more goods. We should be more happy. Okay, but we are not. So this one has been coined as a income happiness paradox, or some people name it as a Eastering paradox. So in fact, this theory, this paradox, make the economics think that we should relook at the assumptions. So of course, the first barrier is there. The barrier on how to measure comparability problem, how measure problems still there. So fortunately, economics put efforts on this, and then they found that actually it is true we have a different measurement of happiness. If you want to know how happy you are, or you want to know how happy your good friends are, so you can drag your friends into the hospital and put a lot of wire in his brain, in his head, and then measure scientifically the happiness. Okay, or you can use a multiple item, or you can use this just now what I say, the global one item measurement of happiness. So then in literature, economics happiness literature found that this different type of a measurement. Okay, so another measurement is that you can also ask the friends around, okay, the family members, okay, instead of asking the person directly. Okay, so whatever method you use, they have a very high correlation. Very high correlation, surprisingly. So this is one of the economics that make the contribution is the Professor Ng Yu Kwang, actually born in Malaysia. Yeah, but a very famous professor in economics from Australia at the time, Monash University. So they found that actually, so we do need to spend a lot of money. We don't need to come out with multiple items. We don't need to use this, ask other people to know this person's happiness. It will be cost us a lot of time and resources. So we can just use one item. So since then, the happiness economics become very popular in economics studies, and also very popular in some major surveys. So in Malaysia, we already have our first Malaysia Happiness Index. We have, okay, but we still use multiple items. Okay, then after that we average then up, become one global happiness, one overall happiness. But in overseas, for example, OECD countries, the government, when they have their survey, they use this one item because it is so nice, so easy. It's just ask a very simple question, then you get the happiness measurement. But this measurement is overall life happiness. Okay, so with this, you can get the happiness. So the happiness become popular. And then in literature, it has been proved that this measurement of happiness on at overall level, it is compatible. It is highly correlated with other type of measurement. So economics of happiness become very popular since 1990s. 1990s. Recently, yes. It is not a few hundred years ago. It is just maybe, around 2 decades, more than 2 decades ago, 20 years or 30 years ago. So become a form of what they call a branch of economics analysis, and we call it economics of happiness. So in overseas, some university, they already offer this course. They call economics of happiness. So economics of happiness, for your information, I to my knowledge, UUM School of Economics, Finance and Banking, it is the first who offer this course last year. Okay, we have economics of happiness at master degree level. Okay, we haven't introduced to undergraduate level. So in fact, for me, actually, economics of happiness are very important. It should introduce even at secondary school. That means at the layman term level, of course, because we have a suicide problems. Why people commit suicide, for example? Yeah. So suicide problem. So when we analyze, use economic analyze, I see suicide problem because we have a predictive error. So we have a total happiness. So when we feel that, everyone have a fear to being dead, being die. Okay, so why people choose? Because the fear of the death, it is lower than the painfulness that they are suffering now. That's why they choose suicide. That means their expected total life happiness have become below 0. They thought that they don't have happiness anymore. But actually, a lot of happiness study found that actually our life cycle happiness very fantastic. It is I think I can say here, never mind. I just said the effect of age on our happiness. It is what they call U-shape. U-shape. Okay, U-shape. So this is a life cycle. So you can imagine the x-axis is the age, the y-axis is the happiness. So initially very high when we are young. When we are young, okay, so basically before enter school, okay, so school will reduce our happiness, okay. So after we enter school at age of around 10 to significantly drop the happiness, and it is continue drop, but it is okay because we are coming from a very high position. So drop a little bit, since drop until age of 30 something, 35 something, around 35, achieve the bottom. And then after that, increase. So that means, actually for us, I don't know, you can think about yourself. Maybe some of you already same age as me, already 50s. Okay, I'm already 56 years old. Okay, so I feel that my life cycle happiness following usage. My happiness is the lowest at my age of I think approaching 40. Yeah. So of course we give reason for this. Why it is like this? We have the reasons. But this one will tell people actually our happiness, a lot of happiness are waiting for us. If let's say me, as an example, I made a mistake, I made a predictive error, I commit suicide at my age of 40, at the time where my happiness is very low. I commit suicide, let's say only, example only. Okay, so then I will lose all the happiness. I thought I don't have my total life happiness were gone already, 0 or negative. Yeah. So, but this happiness theory tell us, don't commit suicide. A lot of happiness are waiting for us. When you are getting old, you will get more happiness. We thought that when we are getting old, our health stop. I think our Professor Dr. Sai talked about the health stop as well. Okay, so our health stop when we are old, our health stop will go down already at the bottom. So we will face even more sufferness. So better commit suicide. So it is not true, but happiness theory tell us a lot of happiness are waiting for us when we grow old. Good news for us. Yeah, okay, for all the professor that going to retire. So that means happiness waiting for us. Yeah, okay, so back to here, back to the, what they call, the question why happiness is in this one. So we have economics of happiness in economic studies. So basically, economics focus a lot on income, consumption, and all these, okay? Investment, government spending, and all this. Then we ignore the happiness. We just assume that we spend more, our happiness will increase. And then it is not true. So we are human. We have a predictive errors. We thought that when we are poor, we thought that more income for us will increase our happiness. So we will put a lot of effort on earning the income, including sacrifice the family, sacrifice our health, for example. But when we get the money, the happiness that we can get from that money, it is not as what we expect before. Yeah, so we have a predictive error. So we need to know this. And happiness theory tell us this and guide us in that sense with empirical evidence. Not only talk only, but with empirical evidence. That's the important point. Okay, so in this case, we have happiness has been what they call become a very important field, but our focus more on the income, especially the income happiness paradox. So basically, we found that actually it's a common sense. Basically, we found that income is very important to happiness when we are poor. So at low level of income, happiness, you increase the income, we can derive a lot of happiness. But after a certain point, so increase of the income won't increase the happiness as much as before. It might still increase, okay, but not as much as before. So there's a diminishing effect of income to happiness, okay, and then until certain high point, it won't increase anymore. So of course, to achieve this high point wouldn't be easy, okay. So at this point, maybe income or money become a figure to them already. So that's why they cannot derive any happiness. Okay, so we already find out a lot of determinants of happiness. So like what they call Prof. Dr. Adina have shared with us the importance of health, and then thanks to Prof. Dr. Adina sharing the tips and the guideline how to maintain our health stops. Okay, from the perspective, it is a very useful information. Okay, so we find out a lot. So health is one of them. So in fact, health is what they so-called in health economics, so we believe that everyone have been endowed with a certain level of stock of health at the beginning. So, but we are going to consume the stock of the health over the time, over our life cycle. So that means the health stock, maybe everyone is almost the same, okay, at the beginning on average. So then over the time is reduced because we consume each. So we need to maintain each so that the reduce will be less stiff. Okay, if you do not maintain, that means it will reduce very, what they call, we are practicing a wrong lifestyle, for example. So the health stock that we have will drop very fast. Okay, so it is good to maintain, of course. But health for us, or I would like to say maybe it is luckily. So basically, we all, on average, overall, we all already have a sufficient level of health stock to maintain our health status on average. So that means sometimes we take it for granted. Okay, so even you are very healthy, you still can be not happy. So health is a necessary but not sufficient condition to achieve a high happiness. So we still need other factors. Okay, so we have a social factor is one of them in that sense. Social factor. So that's why community plays a very important role. So before we go to community is a very big, consists of a lot of people, a lot of households. Let us look at the smallest units of a community, the household. So why household? That means have a husband and wife, and then have children, or maybe without children and husband and wife and parent, grandmother, grandfather, and all this. Okay, so why we marry? Okay, if we are individual, we do not marry, we are one person. If you are married, that means we become 2 persons. Okay, or maybe more than 2 lah. Okay, but for 2 persons, that means the concept of why we marry, the happiness study found that actually before you marry, you are single. Your happiness, let's say on average, is here. Okay. If you marry, your happiness will increase like this, sharply increase. Okay, so being married is a good thing for your happiness, but if divorce, the happiness will drop even before you married until the bottom. Damaging, very damaging. So marriage is a very important decision, okay, for your happiness. So if you can maintain your marriage, you are happy forever there. If cannot, you are in trouble. You have to find out other sources of happiness to compensate the loss in the happiness due to divorce and separated and all this. So why marriage can bring happiness? So economics have a very classical theory we call division of labor. So division of labor, that means we do the things that we are good at, and then we let other things do the things that they are good at. And then after that, we can exchange, okay, the product that we generate. Okay, so then we can consume more goods, and then we can become more efficient, and then we will become more happy. Okay, so that means economists assume that as a rational individual, we try to maximize our happiness, kesejahteraan. Okay, so but in order to maximize our happiness, we need to have cooperate with other people. Okay, the people that you maybe you know, or maybe you don't know these people, you also need to cooperate. For example, you go to market, you buy something, you might not know the seller, am I right? But you need to cooperate, you need to buy. Okay, so when you buy the things, you can see, let's say this goods cost ringgit Malaysia, 10 ringgit Malaysia. You pay the 10 ringgit Malaysia. It is a voluntary exchange. That means that good will give you more happiness than the 10 ringgit. That's why you are willing to exchange. So your happiness will increase because of that division of labor. Okay, so marriage is a division of labor. Okay, so and then community also division of labor, just like market economics. So market economics have a division of labor. So we need to cooperate to each other. So it is quite contradictory sometimes. You might see that it is a paradox, but we are rational. We try to maximize our happiness. Okay, but in order to achieve this, we are selfish. In a layman term, we are selfish. But in order to maximize our selfishness, we need to cooperate with others. We need to help each other. So the theory behind this is the division of labor, okay, like market economics. So you can see historically that we have a study, economists have a study on that. Human history, our GDP per capita. GDP per capita means gross domestic product per capita. This one basically it is our income per capita, income per person in a country for a year, for example. Okay, so we found that human history so long, thousands years. Okay, the GDP per capita or income of a person do not increase at the beginning, do not increase. When we are in self-sustained economy, do not increase just a little bit. When we have a market economy, we start to have division of labor and we start to cooperate to each other. Our income per capita increase sharply. So statistically, more than 90% of our total increase in GDP per capita in history, in human history, more than 90% happened after 1500, around 600 years ago, around 600 years ago. But human history already more than thousands. So you can see how this what they so-called division of labor, cooperate with others in the market economics can lead to increase in income and increase our welfare. So that's why for our individual happiness, our what they call Kesejahteraan individual, if we want to maximize, we need to cooperate in the community. Okay, so yeah, time is up. Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah. So when economic talk, you have to stop economics. Economics always stop non-stop. Okay, so let me summarize in last sentence. So that means if we want to maximize our happiness, we need to maximize our community's happiness, and there are a lot of factors that influence our happiness. So I do not list here. So health and then income, poverty, and all these are one of the factors. Okay, so we have an income and non-income, and the most important is we need division of labor. Okay, thank you. That's all from me. I hope I do not make you what they call confused. Okay, thank you very much for your time. Yeah, back to chairperson. Thank you, Prof.
Very much, Prof. Dr. Lim, because you are giving us a very, very new perspective from economics point of view, which has relationship with the kesejahteraan. And I'm very happy to hear that happiness has no relationship with income. All right, there is a question for you, Dr. Lim, Prof. Lim, at the chat. What are the reasons that make a person to become happier as he or she age according to the inverted U-shaped curve you just mentioned? What are the reasons?
Not inverted, sorry, maybe I'm wrong, or it is a U-shape. U-shape.
Yeah, it's a U-shape. Yes, it's a U-shape. So what are the reasons for them to be happy as they age? You know?
Increase.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah,
yes.
The what they call the second part. So actually, so we can see if you want to answer this question, we can see why people achieve the bottom at age of around 35. So when we are at age of now 35, normally because we have our parent getting on average, on average, our parent getting old and need our care on the top. Okay, and then at the time, most of us married already at age or before 30. So we have children to take care, and then our children become teenager. So when children going into teenager, they would like to build their happiness on your sufferness. Okay, so they will make parents suffer, and then they are happy. So we are facing this pressure, and then among ourselves, we are in the middle of our career development. So we need to fight in our what they call climb up the career ladders and all. We face a lot of pressure. So we haven't adjusted to it. So when we are getting older, we start to adjust to it. Okay, we know how to deal with the situation. Okay, and we know also why we are here. What is the purpose of our life mostly? At age of 50, normally we already start to realize, yes, why I'm here. What is the purpose of our life? We know already. Okay, so we know how to what they call to derive happiness more effectively and more efficiently compared to before. So if you get 1 ringgit when you are young and you get 1 ringgit when you are old, maybe the way you get happiness will be different. Maybe you are young, maybe you choose something that is not healthy. Okay, some activity that is not healthy, you spend on some, but when you are old, you won't do this. You start to have this wisdom. Okay, so you start to know how to let go. Yeah. So this is we found this actually. So to share with you, I hope I still have time. Yeah, we in economics of happiness, we found that some study found that some people they have a fatal accidents, so become paralyzed or very serious accident. So at the time, the accident come and then they recover and what they call out from the hospital. People survey them and then they say that they prefer to die during the accident than now. But after a few years, interview them, what happened? They say they are so graceful, they still alive. Even they are paralyzed. They adjust to it. And they can become, their happiness level even can become higher than before the road accident. Fantastic. So happiness is a subjective things that come from our mind. Why the external factor can affect our happiness? Because our mind allowed it to affect our happiness. So our mind change, then our happiness can change. Yeah, so external factor can affect us because we allow. Our mind allow. But of course, how our mind allow, of course, this is depends on what we so-called cultural value of happiness. Our culture, our norms. So in happiness, we have one small area of study we call cultural value of happiness. But unfortunately for Malaysia, I found that Malaysia have a cultural value that increase, but not favored for happiness. We move towards individualism.
Oh.
That's not good for happiness.
Very happy Malaysian are not very happy people. I mean,
we are happy. We are happy, of course. We are happy, but it is reducing. Our happiness is it is an inverted U shape. Initially, we are happy, increase, and then now we are reducing. Because I think our cultural value of happiness developed into the wrong way. Our individualism is increasing. And then when you are more individual, you lost this division of labor. Yeah, you need to engage in community to get happiness.
Cooperative work.
Yes. Yes, yes. Okay, I hope I answered the question. Thank you very much.
Yeah. All right. Is there any other question from the audience? Of course, the same audience asked more questions. Prof. Dr. Adina, for the elderly who have sort of given up on life, we need to get them connected to people and find them something to do that makes them happy. Contact with children and pets are very helpful.
Oh, pets even helpful. Yeah, you can see division of labor. You see, even with pets.
Okay. Yes,
Yeah, good.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you,
Yes.
Prof.
Any more from the audience? Or yeah, thank you, Dr. for giving appreciation. All right, we have 5 minutes more to go. Any wrapping up? We have Prof. Dr. Adrina and then Prof. Dr. Lim, and then we will go back to Prof. Dr. Rocheline to close the wacana. Silakan Pro Adina, last word, advice.
Yeah. Okay, last words is that your health is your responsibility. You are responsibility to make yourself sejahtera. Okay, before you go for anything, read or I think you can find, okay, there is a lot of information out there for you to gather. If you don't know, you can always ask the people that are actually experts in the field. So I wish everybody the best of health, the best of life, and hope you all de-stress yourself, okay, and make yourself happy. Thank you.
Really, thank you very much, Prof. Dr. Haji Adilina. Prof. Dr. Lim, last word. Yes.
Yeah, thank you. I wish that all will be what they call all are happy. So I think Malaysian people are happy. We are happy. Okay. So we are still in a happy level. So but remember, community is very important for our happiness. Don't give up community. Division of labor already tell us community and people surrounded us are very important. Okay, so community, if our community is not happy, we cannot be happy. Yeah, and I hope that economics of happiness will become a major stream of economic studies in one day, because I feel that it is very important. Happiness is the ultimate aim of our life. Okay, thank you.
Yes. Thank you very much, Prof. Dr. Lim. Balik kepada N, the MC of the majlis. Agreed, Prof. Community is part of happiness. Yes. And silakan.
Okay, terima kasih Prof. Okay, baiklah. Saya mohon agar semua hadirin untuk membuka kamera masing-masing untuk kita mengambil group foto.
Gambar.
Ya.
My room gelap ni. Wajah saya gelap.
Okay, saya kira semua dah ready. Puan Naimah boleh screenshot? Ya, ada lagi?
Lawa-lawa, cantik-cantik semua. Handsome.
Alright, okay. Kita ambil gambar 1, 2, 3. Another one. 1, 2, 3. Alright. Baiklah, terima kasih semua. Saya berharap anda semua mendapat manfaat daripada program wacana kita pada pagi ini dan sedikit sebanyak dapat mempelajari mengenai konsep kesejahteraan hidup dan bagaimana ia berkaitan dengan kesejahteraan komuniti kita ya. Baiklah, sekian. Terima kasih daripada kami di APM dan semoga kita berjumpa lagi di